Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Remembrance Chamber. This is actually take two for us because I had some technical difficulties. My computer went black. It just like everything was black, and I couldn't get it back up, and I lost some documents. But you know what? It's all okay. We're just gonna flow.
Yeah,
So if this was some type of a trigger, because this is real stuff. This is real stuff that happens. So then it's that you get to practice that pause, breathe, reweave, or, you can be triggered by it and then nothing else goes right.
so true. You have to
Yeah.
flow.
Just go with the flow. Yeah. So let's start with some breath. So what we're going to do is we're going to invite you to, if you feel safe, close your eyes. We're going to breathe in for a count of 4. We're going to hold for a count of 4. We'll release out of our mouth for a count of 6. When we do, let's just imagine this beautiful gold energy coming in through all of our pores, every pore in our body, and then allow it, when you're holding it for that 4, to see that gold just wrap, entangle itself in your heart. And then as you're releasing, release it out into your space. It's going to make a golden field for you. So we're gonna just do one round. We're gonna make it easy peasy today. So let's go ahead. If you want to close your eyes. Unless you're driving, don't you dare close your eyes. And let's go ahead, breathe in for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Lovely. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I hope I don't go too fast because I'm not doing it with y'all because I'm not that coordinated. One piece of
No,
work.
you need to count. You're the counter.
I'm a counter. Counter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about ego.
Yeah.
And ego. A lot of people think that ego is bad. It's something to squash, but it's not. Ego is there to help us. But can ego get out of control? Yes. And there was a word that in our first one that failed. It wasn't a failure. It was a reweave. But we talked about the word scaffolding and what scaffolding is. And do you want to go ahead and explain that?
Yeah. Scaffolding is it's a temporary structure that we put in place, and it's energetic usually in our lives. In the physical world, it might be scaffolding for a building to help it, rework it. But for us, it's more of a scaffolding that we build to reach other levels of ourselves. So it's something that we might temporarily do, but it's not
Yes.
there for permanently. So,
Thank goodness, too.
yeah. Yeah. So what are some of your scaffolding things that you use for scaffolding?
Yeah, so we're not fixed in any of it, which is nice. We work through it as we're remembering. So
Yeah.
we might need it for, like, it might be for beliefs, for a belief
Mhm.
system, for a time, and then it's kind of like a snake. We outgrow, we shed that skin because there's growth and we no longer need that.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's wonderful. And
Yeah. So scaffolding might be, and for some people, it might be a religion, or it might be some practice that they embody, and they need that practice in order to like, for me, it was mindfulness. You might need that mindfulness practice or that meditation practice in order to train yourself to stay in more of a still place.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a temporary vehicle. It's like a little
Hmm.
temporary vehicle.
Hmm.
And so now we're going to talk about the difference between ego and coherence. So I know that ego, it It can, sometimes it can trip you up and it can inflate things, right? And it wants to be right. Sometimes it would get hung up on being right rather than being truthful. Though sometimes I have a problem with that, because what is truth?
Hmm.
My truth may not be your truth,
Right.
but then that's where, if we're living in our own coherence, and I think coherence for everybody is this calm harmony, this peacefulness that allows us in this lattice just to be, it's like geometry is beautiful. It may look a little bit like there's some chaos in it, because
Hmm.
it can be like real tight or whatever, but there's not. There's a pattern, there's a flow. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, I love to refer everything back to geometry because it's easy to visualize for me. So, but geometry is love, geometry is coherence, geometry is everything. So, if you can see even just simple two circles that intersect at the vesicas in the center, if either one of those people are not in coherence, or they're allowing their ego to run, they're trying to separate themselves, and it collapses that merge, right? So
Right.
being able to merge and hold your circle is love. And when you collapse into the other person, that's when you're incoherent and fragmented, or whatever you want to call it. So I feel like yeah, if you can just visualize yourself as being a sphere of coherence, and you can merge, and you can create all kinds of beautiful patterns once you start creating more circles and lines. There's like, it's infinite really what you can do.
Right. Right. And so when you were talking about collapse,
Hmm.
so we don't want to collapse, because that could also be a type of overmerging.
Yeah.
We collapse because when we entangle, now our fields connect and we're entangled. And
Hmm.
sometimes, we can collapse into that other person's field, where you're overmerging, you're absorbing their energy, you're
Yeah.
absorbing their trauma,
Hmm.
and we have to keep those things separate. That's why we have to witness rather than, just be in it. And
Hmm.
that's like being the observer. We talk a lot about, in life, we need to be the observer. We
Hmm.
need to be the one that's sitting in the theater, watching on the big screen, knowing what's happening, but not becoming part of that,
Right.
not being in the story, to watch
Hmm.
the story, to witness the story.
Yeah, so fascinating, isn't it? Oh,
Yeah.
there's so much I learned this week about that and the layers that are happening here in the collective. And so you have the storyboard layer, and that's everything that we're witnessing on the external realm, politics, and just all the stuff happening in the world that we tend to like look at and say, "Oh, that's really bad." We can get entangled in those stories really easy. It's easy to watch the news and feel like, "Oh my gosh, the whole world is falling apart." That would be collapsing into the narrative that's on the storyboard level. Underneath that is another layer happening, which is more about their structures happening. There's things put in place that are happening that are not maybe visible to most people, but those structures are, really, those are the ones that are actually making the real shifts in this dimensional shifts that we're going through, right? And then underneath that is pure structure, it's mechanics, and it's function, so we're dealing in three different layers when you look at it like that, which I thought was so neat and so interesting. The architect was telling me about it this week. So we when we entangle ourselves in the narratives, we continue the storyboard level, and I see a lot of people still at this level, and that's okay. That's where they're at. I'm not saying that they're bad for, that's part of the game that we're playing, is for them to learn through that storyboard layer. But that's a lot of where the ego rests as well. So that's where you see a lot of the ego playing out.
Right. And I think it's really important to understand that when we're in this harmony, this coherence, that we don't judge. We
Right.
can't judge another person's journey.
Hmm.
It's like we got a lot of people that are at different places in this game, right?
Right.
Different levels, but we have to honor. It's like just like honor their where they're at.
Hmm.
Sometimes we do more harm than good when we try to force our beliefs or force something on them,
Oh,
that they're not
absolutely.
not ready for. And we see
Hmm.
that because, like, right now there seems to be a lot of still the fear mongering. We've had fear mongering since the beginning of time, it seems like,
Real.
right? But and
Hmm.
it's like it's crescendoing right now.
Hmm.
So right now there's so much noise. We've got conspiracy theories, we've got the truth somewhere out there, we've got this narrative or that belief, or somebody just found another methodology, and so it's like there's so much noise, and then people are running over here, running over there, trying to get in their truth, because it's some of it, like, it feels good, it sounds good, and then you get there and you're like, "Aw," right?
Yeah.
And then we're just confused again.
Yeah.
But part of that is because we're not listening
Hmm.
to our bodies. We're not listening for that coherence to, is this distortion? Is this collapse? Is this coherence? What is the truth?
Hmm.
And then we talked about too is the um when we'll name something in our field that is happening, but we don't embody it.
Hmm.
So when we don't embody it, we're still going to repeat those patterns, even though we're aware.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I know we
That's
talked.
part of those levels of going from ego to coherence, and I think that if you ask that question, you might get a different answer. Like we all might get different perspectives on how many different stages there are and everything, right? But when I asked, it was like there's 5 stages, and it's not okay. We're at this stage, and we go to this stage, and we go to this stage. It's not like
Right.
that. It is and it isn't. At the same time, it's more of a spiral. I think we revisit that, and we have more expansion that's happening. But um, I I think when we're in the first stage, we're defending our patterns, we're defending ourselves, we're defending that storyline pretty strongly. But even if we're there, there may be a purpose for being there. um it may be it may be because it's there to show you the witness of yourself, but you're still not aware of it. So you could have, so the second stage is more of that awareness stage that you're talking about, where, oh, I'm aware of this pattern. All of a sudden something's happened to me. There's usually a crisis that happens, crisis in somebody's life that like wakes them up to go, wait a minute, I was trying so hard, and that was the way it was supposed to work, and then that didn't work anymore. That's the way it happened for me. Is I was trying to check off all the boxes, and realizing that nobody in my family was really happy. We're quite miserable and hiding ourselves, our true selves, from each other because we were trying to look perfect instead of be loving to each other. And I'm like, well, that structure, that scaffolding that I was carrying at the time, I realized was not working anymore, so that needed to go. But that was the second stage. But still, I didn't embody coherence at that point. I still had to go through more awareness and more practice to, like, get to those deeper layers of myself and to understand where I am. And right now, I feel like in certain parts of my life, I'm shedding identities, I'm shedding friendships, I'm letting go of things that I thought I needed. And that is part of choosing to be around the people I want to be with, the people. So what I'm saying is that you at that point, you don't have to be embodied into the storyline people. You don't have to be around people that you don't like to be around. You can actually
Right.
start creating more of your reality, you know? And it's not like you're putting up walls, but you actually like you make choices now. Do I want my energy to go there? Do I want to create that thing? Do I want to be caretaker of this is my week right now. I'm going through another major purge. This is two or three now that I've like made, and I'm not done, but this one another time it was so unexpected. Again, it was just kind of like this has to happen now. And I started purging out photos and stuff, and I went through the photo closet, and there's like people in there. I don't even know who these people are. Why am I keeping these items? I don't even know. Why am I the caretaker of this? Do I want to be? And I'm choosing
Right.
to like let go of those things, and that feels so good to be there and go, well, you know what? I'm not in charge of those stories. I'm not in charge of that. Um, Stuff like that. I can let go of those things and move forward. And once you do it, it's like, wow, I didn't get through the whole thing because there's still a lot of conditioning in me around keeping that kind of thing for
Yeah.
records. And, I'm like being careful that I'm not throwing away things that I may actually want to upload later. But I did a lot of taking pictures of things. So there was a digital copy, and then I got rid of the paper stuff. So
Right.
that was pretty good. But once
Yeah.
you get to that final stage, the fifth stage is that you are just living more like ego is more like a clothing that you put on, a garment that you wear, that it's not something that you need to like defend yourself or who you are anymore.
Right. And ego can get you into performance
Yeah,
versus coherence.
definitely.
So we want to, because it is a mask, we
Hmm.
start removing these masks,
Hmm.
and then it's like, but you've got to be willing to actually see,
Hmm.
to go within, and you have to deal with that,
Yeah.
that mask or that performance, so that
Mm.
you can get to the coherence.
Yeah.
So it is and some people don't feel comfortable doing it. That's why sometimes it's baby steps.
Oh, totally. And also, there will be people that are don't want to be around coherent people because their internal state is such that they don't feel comfortable around someone that can be that open and authentic, right? And
Right.
we hear it all the time. I mean, it's hilarious because when we've talked about this in different chats, we can see the performance happening.
Right.
These are people that are spiritual people, but we can see the pick me energy. Like look at me and
Right.
acknowledge my presence. That is interesting because a lot of those people don't want to be around a coherent person because they don't get acknowledged the way that they want. So
Right.
they will exit and go back into those places in which people are still in the performance mode.
Right.
So
Yeah. And
it's
and just
interesting.
so, yeah, and and over merge, like we have the thing where this was my lesson this week. And I know I've talked about over merging before,
Hmm.
but that was with animals, but this was like with people. And I know so many people out there are um they have a lot of empathy, right? They're
Hmm.
empaths,
Hmm.
and they take a lot of cues. Like I can see micro expressions.
Hmm.
I can tell what's going on in a room. I can feel it. And a
Hmm.
lot of times, you feel something before. If we all just get rid of the noise, we feel before we actually see.
Yeah.
It's that the frequency, the resonance, we can feel it.
Hmm.
That like I've had people in my life that, and everybody out there, the people that you love, but that they have the trauma, and every time they talk to you, it's the same trauma. And you might offer up suggestions, or the whatever that is, and that person like doesn't even hear anything you said, because
Hmm.
it's always the same thing. But then you get into you could be leaking energy because your energy is going that way. If you're not in coherence, you might be absorbing their energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So then you're leaking energy, and then that's not doing you any good.
Mm-hmm.
But I had where it did happen, and through it I was able to just be a witness. That's all you need to be. We're not here to teach, we're not here to lead, we're not here to fix.
Mm-hmm.
And those are wonderful things. When you get rid of those and you know that you're not obligated. You
Mm-hmm.
are obligated to stay within your own coherence. It's all about knowing thyself. And once we know thyself and we're in that coherence, wow, not
Mm-hmm.
only does it change in the field in your reality, but everywhere. It's beautiful.
It's
And
beautiful.
it is. And so I was able to listen to this, and then after I was like, yeah, that was okay. And I did my pause, breathe, and reweave. And I did tell this person about coherence. I did say, sometimes we have patterns that you can name a pattern. You can see something within you. Maybe it's relationships, maybe it's financial, whatever it is. And you can say, this is what's going on. This is the pattern. You can speak that pattern. You can know that pattern. And it is rewritten now in the field.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't embody, if you don't embody that or integrate it,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to repeat those patterns over and over and over again, even though you know what it is.
Do you have an example of that?
There's probably lots of
I probably
examples
have
of
a
that.
lot too. I'm trying to think of
Well,
one
yeah, so
that I
like
want to share. Yeah.
relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to be one that probably there's a lot of people out there. You're looking for the savior,
Mm-hmm.
right? The savior relationship, somebody who's going to rescue you out of whatever it is the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so that there's a lot of layers in a savior relationship, right? A relationship of convenience where there's a lot of performative actions in there,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it may not be genuine, and you may be acting out of ego just to keep a relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're looking for that rescue.
Mm-hmm.
But then maybe and that can have something to do with scarcity. It could have something to do with abuse from childhood. There's all kinds of things, but once you name it, you say, oh, here we go again, right? But if you don't embody that, integrate it and say, okay, yes, this is the pattern that keeps repeating, and now I'm going to be in my coherence. I'm going to pause. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to reweave. I'm going to feel this in my body. What is it? Where is it? Is it mine? Do I need to alchemize this through my breath work? And then as you're in these situations, you're like, oh, I know what this is. I don't need this. I'm in coherence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't serve scarcity. I don't need a savior. And the reality is nobody's coming here to save you.
Right. Nobody.
You have got to be proactive,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got to, go within all the answers you need, all your healing, your miracles,
Yeah.
all your dreams, your aspirations, everything, all the good stuff, the magic is
Yeah.
already within you.
Yeah. It's
You don't
true.
need anything external. So once you know that, now you've embodied it. Now
Yeah.
you're not going to find those same patterns, but what you're going to do is that resonance has changed, the geometry has changed, so now it's going to be like a magnet, and you're going to attract that same frequency, that same resonance, because now your radio station is tuned to 101.5 rather than 96.8, right? So now you've got different listeners.
Yeah.
And so that's how our field change, and that's how our reality changes.
Hmm. Yeah. It's beautiful, and it seems so simple. We can say that.
But
You live
living
in it.
it,
Everybody's living it right now. It's not easy. That we
it's
all
not.
pick different challenges that we wanted to learn from, and and some people's lives look a lot more challenging than others for sure. But maybe they were collapsing a lot of arcs in one lifetime, and we don't know.
Right. But and the one thing, so when we come here,
Hmm.
we already had a plan.
Hmm.
We said, okay, these are the lessons. These are inevitable lessons that will happen.
Hmm.
And then everything else is free will. It's kind of like electives, right?
Yep.
We go to school and we have the basics. You got to take those basics, and then you have electives, right? Fun stuff. And some of it's not fun, but there's still, we have free will in it. So there are things that, we say, okay, let's change the soul contract. Let's do this. Sometimes you cannot change some of those data points or soul contracts that you created, because these were set in stone.
Yeah.
But
They're
there's
called, what did it call it? The architect called it choice points or something like that. That like there's like an actual like that has to happen. Those markers have to happen, and then everything in between is kind of like fine.
yeah.
But there was a word for it, but I can't remember the word. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, so and I think one of the thing, as a lot of us are going through this journey, we need to be gentle on ourselves,
Hmm.
and we need to, really, what I've been doing for me is a lot more self-care.
Hmm.
And
Same.
I'm going to tell you, so I had a meltdown, and I told you this off screen, but I'm going to say it. I have 6 cats that I'm caring for. I'm guardian to 6 cats that are indoor and now kind of outdoor because they're bugging me. And I have like 2 or 3 other feral cats that are outside. And yesterday, everybody was bugging me. They were fighting inside. And I said, get out, go be sovereign, have your fun. Right. So, and they always stick around the area. They don't go far. So, um, something happened. I was watching TV. I was watching this really cute animated show. It's called Kubo, I think, and it was really good. But I was watching that. All of a sudden, my heart, like it just like, I don't know. There was like this constriction, and I was like, oh my God, something's wrong, right? I just knew something was wrong. So I rushed downstairs, opened the door. Like 3 or 4 of my girls came in, they ran in, and then I had Luna, one of my cats, was up on the roof, and she's like staring at something. And my little 1 year old didn't come in, Phoenix, and she's usually the first one to run when I say Phoenix, and I didn't hear anything. And so I was like listening, and I heard this muffled meow, and it was somewhere like on the building. It was up, and I thought, oh my God, she is stuck somewhere. I failed her. She's hurt. And then I kept I called out to her, and I do my cat meow and nothing. And I took a ladder. I was going to go up the ladder onto the roof. And then I'm like, Aaliyah, one, what are you going to do when you get on the roof and you can't get down? Right? Two, what happens if you fall and you don't have a phone? Nobody's around. Nobody's going to find you. The cats will be hungry. They'll eat your nose off. Right? So, so then I thought, well, I'll go upstairs, do the logical thing, and go look out the window because I can see the roof. I had the flashlight, and there she was right there. And she came in, and I had myself in such a panic, thinking that something happened to her and I need to rescue her,
Mm.
that I had a meltdown. And I cried. I'm like, oh my God. And I told her, I said, I'm not mad at you, but I thought you were hurt. And so I cried, and then I did, okay. All right. I cried. I did my shake. You shake that off because you don't want to hold that energy. And then I said, okay, let's do our pause, our breathe, and our reweave. and that's what I did. And I went and I breathed in for 4, held for 4, exhaled for 4, held for 4 at the bottom. And I kept doing that. Right. And as I was doing that, I was watching this energy come in, and it's going into my heart. And I was just like, letting it get my field coherent again. And it felt amazing afterwards. But that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
We got to bob and weave,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's not like, and some people are just gonna, wow, it clicked. We talked about addiction.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about somebody who may be, an addict, whether that's drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever it is. And there are some people that can quit cold turkey and they're done. They never go back to it. But there's
Mm-hmm.
other people that have a very hard time with that, and they know it, but they don't embody it,
Right.
right? So, but
Yep.
their journey is their own. And the one thing that we have to do when you're the witness or the observer is not to judge,
Yep.
because
Yep.
everybody is at their own pace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we don't know what, I guess there's no loss if something doesn't happen. If a person doesn't like embody, kick the habit, whatever, they can have as many chances as they need to embody a lesson. So we really don't need to like push anybody in any direction because it just doesn't matter. However, I would say that in the end, coherence is the goal. So that's where we're headed, is
Right.
into embodied coherence. And that would be that is kind of a practice to do, So I think if you don't want to live multiple lifetimes over and over again, you know, if you don't want to repeat those lessons, then understanding how to regulate your nervous system and how to let go of whatever it is that's keeping you stuck is going to benefit you.
Definitely. And that's the big thing, is that nervous system, because if not, that's where we get our dis-ease. That's
Mm-hmm.
where we get there's a lot of things in that nervous system,
Yeah.
right? So yeah. And
Yeah.
some
So,
things
but
I don't
I have a thing. Oh, sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, I was just going to say that if you're in a family situation, one person becoming coherent can ripple out to the others and they can start to embody that coherence very quickly. I'm witnessing it right now as I'm becoming more embodied. It's like the patterns between us shift, and that's what allows them to like do it. So like I've been doing yin yoga every night for a month now. I don't know when it was when we started that practice, but we've been doing it every night. And my daughter and I have been doing it together. And she does not notice as many results as I do yet, but
Yeah.
she's committed to the practice so that she can, and so that we always take magnesium baths and we do yin yoga. That's like become our routine. So we
Nice.
gave up our nightly movie most of the nights now to do that instead, which is going to give us our nervous systems are going to stabilize, and that will help us, instead of vegging out in front of the TV that we were doing. Like that's
Right.
the choices that we're making to embody that coherence. So
Right.
it's not immediate, by the way. Oh, but sorry, you tell me your story.
It's fine. And so you're doing that with family. I'm doing this with felines.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, because, and it's sentient beings, there we have some animals that they live by different rules,
Mhm.
and these guys are all sovereign, and like they're just different, and they have different roles than we do.
So
But my
true.
whole thing is hoping to have a space where we're all in harmony and we can respect and live in a space together, which I know they love me.
Yeah.
Like, I feed them and they live better than a lot of others. They're so spoiled. Um,
Well, yes.
oh God. But anyhow, yeah.
It's so
So,
great.
on our website, we are going to start having a blog. And some of these subjects we will go over. So, maybe there's something you wanted to know more about. We will have our subjects, and we're going to have some videos on there. It's still in its infancy. So if you're going on the website, lumalchemy.com, and you're not seeing anything new, that's because we're still we're still working it all out, but it will get there, and you will see some articles, and we'll have some blogs and videos and different things. And yeah,
Yay.
that is our time for today. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about before we
No,
close?
I think that's great. I think the biggest thing is to notice where are you wearing the mask? Where are you performing? Where are you still in that identity ego? And then just not judge it, just be aware of it and see if you can start to let some of those things go. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in the moment, when you notice, like you've just named it, or you've noticed it, or you're feeling it in your body, that's the time to pause, to breathe, to retrieve. If we can get into that habit, it makes a huge difference.
oh, totally. So big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is our time for today. We thank everybody for joining us. We're going to be putting this, I believe we're putting this on Spotify.
Oh, yay.
So yeah, so we're gonna try to do different things, and thank you for being with us as we are growing and learning. Yeah,
Yeah. It's a process. We're all in it together.
we sure are. Together we rise.
Yep.
Together we rise. Yeah. And hey, if anybody is out there, like I know that headaches have been prevalent. Uh, Eyesight, like just different things, but a lot is going on right now. We were talking about the Schumann resonance, how on the 20th it went dark, it went
Mhm.
silent, there was no activity. And I guess that was also the day there was a lot of earthquakes, and they say like blue whales have stopped toning.
Mhm.
So there's something, because they're holding our resonance too. Whales are amazing. And
Mhm.
so, when I was asking the architect said, well, this isn't a fail. There was a recalibration that needed to happen. So, it's not, it wasn't a fail of any sort. So, but a lot of people are feeling some anxiousness. You might be one day you're like, oh my gosh, I'm irritated, I don't even know why. Or I'm not feeling good, I've got a headache, and I'm just feeling really wonky. And there's a lot of adjustments happening in our earth. So be kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself, do self-care, take those magnesium baths, take those Epsom salt baths, just do what you can, like love yourself. Really,
Mhm.
we can't love our neighbors until we loved ourselves,
Yeah.
you know? So stay in your resonance, stay coherent. We love you all
Yes.
much,
All
much.
right. Bye.
Bye.